everyone, welcome to Atari Story 7, and today we're going to be talking about Spin Master. And I gotta say, Spin Master is probably the weirdest company out there, because just when you think that they're kind of doing anything, they just kind of surprise you with stuff. And we basically found out that there's going to be a Target exclusive Batman Forever retro line coming out next year, and it could be hitting as soon as January. It's already hitting in some countries, and a lot of people have been talking about this. This has broke the internet, and I was thinking about making a video, but I ultimately kind of chose not to, because it's like, hey, you know, a lot of people are talking about it. When a lot of people talk about stuff, I'm like, I don't really want to weigh in too much, because I feel like it just becomes repetitive. Regardless, they look cool. I'm not that big of a fan of them, because I wish they were more stylized like the other ones. I mean, we've gotten Bale, Keaton, Affleck, so it would have been cool if they had kept up the trend of the previous ones, but either way, they're cool, and that's the important thing. But why am I making a video if I didn't want to make a video? Well, basically, the guy who's the head of this line has pretty much given an interview, and he revealed something really cool in that interview that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. So let's go over it. And this comes from Scream Rat. Basically, they were talking to Mark Morse, who works for Spin Master, and has kind of basically been developing this line. I don't know if he's exactly the head. I mentioned him as that, but I don't know if he's exactly, but basically, he appears to be a huge person in this. And he talks about how someone who worked at Target, obviously not like just a Target associate, like an actual, like way up there in the company, wanted them to possibly consider doing a Batman Forever retro line, and that's how it basically happened. Well, that's interesting, and I recommend you read the interview. But basically, where he gets to the really interesting part is he talks about, he's asked what would he like to make? Like, what DC movie have they been allowed to do or haven't been allowed to do that he would have liked done? And this one is really interesting because he mentions, quoting here, that there is a very special one from his youth from the year 1978. Now, if you know your DC, you know Superman came out in 1978 with Christopher Reeve. And then he mentions that they've been allowed to sink their teeth into, which kind of confirms some weird things, and then basically after that he follows up with, and that same character, which is obviously Superman, just so happens to be getting a reboot from James Gunn next year, which they will also be making toys for. So it will be a very complimentary program at Target where you can celebrate today's iteration, I cannot speak today, but today's iteration of the Man of Tomorrow while also celebrating the one from the past. And why that is so interesting is he's basically confirming that not only are they going to be making Superman toys for Superman 2025, which we all knew at this point, but he's also confirming that they're going to be doing something for Christopher Reeve's Superman, which is really, really cool. He doesn't go into a lot of detail. He does mention Target, so whatever it's going to be, it's probably going to be a Target exclusive line. It's a possibility it will be in this exact same style as Batman Forever, which is not bad. Retro toys are cool. Obviously, a lot of people grew up with them. I mean, the whole reason this line is even existing is because somebody grew up with it and loved it, which is great. But I'm kind of more on the more spoiled of today's side of action figures where they're more detailed and more articulate. So I would have preferred that this Superman line and this Batman line be like the previous Spin Master characters that they did for like the Flash movie and then the Batman 85th anniversary. But either way, this is really cool and this is exciting news, and it makes me wonder what they might be doing. I mean, obviously, you have Lex, but if they're doing Superman 78 in particular, they might also incorporate Zod in there. They might do a Fortress of Solitude playset. I don't know if they'll necessarily do that. I mean, there isn't really a lot of vehicles you can do for that Superman movie, so they might do the Fortress instead. But yeah, this is really interesting. As for when they could release, honestly, it's hard to say, but it does sound like Batman Forever is going to be dropping in January. I know it's already hitting some countries overseas, so we could be seeing Superman as soon as, honestly, like March or April. I think it'll be more like coinciding with the new movie, but the toys for the new movie are probably going to come out a couple months before the actual film does. That typically happens. But either way, this is really exciting news, and I can't wait to see what they do. So thank you for watching. Please rate, like, and subscribe.